Last March, I stood in the checkout line at Walmart. I was staring at a grocery receipt that said $58 for vegetables. And the worst part was realizing something frustrating. Almost half of that food would probably spoil in the fridge before we even ate it. But here is something most people never hear. You do not need a huge backyard. You do not need expensive raised beds. And you definitely do not need hundreds of dollars in gardening supplies to grow a steady supply of food. In fact, some of the most productive food crops in America are planted during one small early spring window. And most gardeners completely miss it. Many nurseries never talk about this because a few cheap seed packets planted at the right time can produce months of fresh food. In this video, I will show you 10 crops you must plant in March if you want to feed your family almost free for the rest of the year. Every week, millions of American families walk into stores like Walmart, Kroger, or Costco. They plan to buy just a few healthy vegetables. But they walk out shocked at the total price. A single bell pepper can cost $2, a head of broccoli can reach $3, and a small container of organic spinach can easily cost $5. According to recent USDA food price reports, the cost of fresh vegetables in the United States has climbed nearly 20% in the last few years. That means many households now spend close to $900 every year just on produce alone. But the frustration becomes even bigger when people try gardening. They hope to save money and grow their own food, and still end up disappointed. Many beginners buy starter plants from places like Home Depot or Lowe's for $4 or $5 each. They plant them randomly during spring and expect a huge harvest, but they often end up with only a few small vegetables. Before pests, heat, or disease wipe out the garden, most people assume the problem is their soil, or they think their gardening skills are not good enough. But the real reason is much simpler. Plants follow biology, not good intentions. Many vegetables depend on cool early season soil temperatures. They also depend on the right length of daylight and strong root development during early spring. If those conditions are missed, the plant spends most of its energy trying to survive instead of producing food. But here is the surprising part. Experienced backyard growers quietly take advantage of this timing every year. They plant certain crops right at the beginning of spring when soil conditions are perfect. Those plants build powerful root systems, and they continue producing food for months. Which means the difference between a disappointing garden and a food-producing garden often comes down to planting the right crops during the right early season window. In the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through 10 incredibly productive crops. These crops grow best when planted during the early spring window, especially for gardeners living in USDA hardiness zones 5 through 9, and these are not random vegetables. These are the same crops many experienced backyard growers rely on because they produce large harvests from a small space. And they keep producing for months, sometimes even the entire season. In this video, you will learn which crops can produce 20, 30, or even 100 pounds of food from a single planting. You will also see how a simple $10 packet of seeds can turn into hundreds of dollars worth of fresh vegetables. And you will learn why planting them early gives them a massive advantage over late spring gardens. By the end of this video, you will understand how some home gardeners cut their grocery spending nearly in half. Just by focusing on the right crops planted at the right time, and one of the crops on this list can keep producing food for weeks even after you cut it, which surprises almost everyone the first time they grow it. The first crop that truly proves how powerful early spring planting can be is potatoes. Very few plants turn a small investment into such a large amount of food. A single pound of seed potatoes usually costs about $3 to $5 at stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, or Tractor Supply. And that 1 pound can produce 8 to 12 pounds of potatoes in a single growing season. Potatoes thrive when soil temperatures stay between 45 and 60 degrees, which is exactly what most gardens experience during early spring in USDA zones 5 through 9. But the surprising technique many experienced growers use is planting potatoes deeper than most beginners expect. Often 6 to 8 inches below the surface, potatoes grow along the buried stem, and every extra layer of soil creates more space where tubers can form. This simple trick can dramatically increase harvest, turning a small planting into a surprisingly large supply of food. Leafy greens are usually the first fresh harvest of the season, and spinach stands out as one of the fastest growing vegetables you can plant. Spinach grows best when temperatures stay between 50 and 65 degrees, which makes early spring the perfect time to plant it. And the numbers are impressive. A typical $10 packet of spinach seeds can contain several thousand seeds. A small 4 by 8 foot garden bed can produce 20 to 30 pounds of spinach across a season, according to university extension data. But here is the surprising part. Most beginners harvest spinach the wrong way. Experienced growers pick small leaves frequently, instead of waiting for the plant to grow large leaves. Regular harvesting signals the plant to produce new growth faster, which means the more often you harvest, the more food the plant continues producing. Beneath the soil, another incredibly productive crop quietly builds one of the most reliable food supplies you can grow. Carrots may appear slow at first, but they develop powerful taproots when planted during cool spring conditions. Early planting allows the roots to expand deeply before summer heat arrives. Agricultural extension studies show that a 25-foot row of carrots can produce roughly 20 pounds of harvest. And one hidden advantage many gardeners love is that carrots can remain stored directly in the soil for weeks, acting almost like a natural refrigerator, allowing you to harvest fresh carrots whenever you want. The most common mistake beginners make is skipping early thinning. Carrot seeds are extremely small, and they often sprout too close together. When seedlings compete for space, the roots remain thin, but when properly spaced, each plant grows into a full-sized carrot, which dramatically increases the final harvest. Now, here is something many new gardeners do not expect. Some vegetables actually become sweeter when the weather gets colder, and kale is one of the best examples. Kale is incredibly resilient. It can tolerate temperatures down to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, while still producing edible leaves throughout the season. One healthy kale plant can produce multiple harvests every week for months. Many growers report harvesting more than 2 pounds of leaves from a single plant during the growing season. The fascinating biological reason kale tastes sweeter after frost is simple. The plant converts stored starch into natural sugars. As protection from cold temperatures, which means cool spring nights can actually improve flavor, while the plant continues producing nutritious greens. Before we move to the next crops, here is an interesting pattern many productive gardens follow. Early greens provide quick harvests, while the next group of crops focuses on long-term food production. And that brings us to one of the fastest growing vegetables you can plant. Bush beans. Bush beans grow rapidly, often reaching harvest stage within about 60 days. According to several agricultural studies, a 20-foot row of bush beans can produce 10 to 15 pounds of beans across the season. But the real advantage happens underground. Bean plants form a partnership with beneficial soil bacteria. These bacteria capture nitrogen from the air and convert it into nutrients stored in the soil. This process is called nitrogen fixation, which means beans not only feed your family, they also improve soil fertility, making the garden more productive for the crops that follow. Large leafy heads slowly forming in the garden may not look exciting at first, but cabbage quietly delivers one of the best harvest values for the space it occupies. Cabbage seeds cost only a few cents each, yet one healthy plant often produces a dense head weighing between 2 and 4 pounds. Grocery stores in many parts of the United States sell cabbage for $3 to $5 per head. Cabbage thrives in cool temperatures between 45 and 75 degrees, which makes early spring planting ideal for steady growth. The surprising technique many experienced gardeners use is harvesting a few outer leaves early in the season, while allowing the center head to continue growing. This provides additional greens weeks before the main harvest, essentially giving you 2 harvest stages from a single plant. Vertical crops unlock another secret of productive gardens. They increase food production without increasing garden space, and peas are one of the best examples. Peas planted early in the season quickly climb trellises, fences, or garden netting, often reaching heights of 5 or 6 feet. Agricultural extension programs estimate that a healthy pea planting can produce around 1 to 2 pounds of pods per 10-foot row. But the surprising detail many people overlook is this: pea shoots, the tender growing tips of the plant, are also edible, and they are highly nutritious. This means gardeners can harvest shoots early for salads, while still allowing the plants to continue producing pea pods later, creating 2 different food harvests from the same crop. Some vegetables gain a reputation for productivity because gardeners simply cannot keep up with the harvest. And zucchini is one of those plants. Zucchini grows quickly once soil temperatures reach about 60 degrees. One healthy plant commonly produces 6 to 10 pounds of squash during the growing season. Some gardens even report yields exceeding 20 pounds from a single plant. The secret many experienced growers follow is harvesting zucchini when it is still small. Frequent harvesting encourages the plant to continue producing new fruits, which keeps the harvest going for weeks and prevents the plant from slowing down after oversized squash develop. Now, here is a crop many gardeners completely overlook, even though it may be one of the most useful vegetables you can grow. Green onions, also called scallions, have the unique ability to regrow after harvesting. A small $3 bundle of green onions from the grocery store can be planted in soil, and the plants will regrow new leaves again and again across the season. Many gardeners harvest the same planting multiple times throughout spring and summer, turning a small purchase into a continuous supply of fresh onion flavor, perfect for cooking salads and soups. Finally, we reach one of the highest value crops you can grow: garlic. Grocery store garlic often sells for $6 to $8 per pound in many parts of the United States. Yet growing it at home costs only a fraction of that price. A small garden bed planted with garlic cloves can produce dozens of bulbs by harvest time. But the surprising bonus comes from garlic scapes. These are the tender stems that appear during the growing season. They are completely edible and highly valued in cooking, which means a single garlic planting can provide flavorful greens months before the bulbs are ready to harvest. When you look at these crops together, a powerful system starts to appear. Potatoes, spinach, carrots, kale, beans, cabbage, peas, zucchini, green onions, and garlic. Each plays a different role in the garden. Some provide fast greens, others develop long-term harvests, and a few continue producing for months when planted early in the season. When these crops grow together in the same garden space, something interesting happens. While one crop finishes, another begins producing, creating a steady flow of fresh food from early spring all the way through late summer. which is exactly how experienced backyard gardeners turn a few inexpensive seed packets planted at the start of the season into hundreds of pounds of food for their families. A few years ago, my backyard garden looked nothing like the productive space it is today, and honestly, it felt more frustrating than rewarding. During the first year, I planted vegetables randomly throughout spring. I did not pay attention to timing. By the end of the season, the entire garden produced barely 30 pounds of food, which was disappointing, especially considering I had spent close to $100 on starter plant soil and supplies from stores like Home Depot and Lowe's. The following year, I decided to change just one thing. I focused on planting the right crops early in the season, when soil temperatures were still cool, and plants could build strong roots before the summer heat arrived. That single adjustment changed everything. That season, the same small garden space produced around 120 pounds of vegetables, including potatoes, spinach, beans, and zucchini, based on average grocery store prices that harvest was worth roughly $400. But the real transformation happened last year. I repeated the same early planting strategy and improved spacing, harvesting, and crop selection. The garden produced more than 300 pounds of vegetables from a space smaller than 2 parking spots. The total investment for seeds, compost, and water was about $160. But the value of the harvested vegetables based on typical United States grocery prices was over $1,000 of food. Now, of course, results can vary depending on climate, soil quality, and gardening experience, but when you look at the numbers, something becomes very clear. This stops feeling like a hobby and starts looking like a smart, long-term strategy for feeding your family while saving serious money on groceries. If you want to turn this information into real food growing in your backyard, here is exactly what I recommend you do this week. Step 1. Choose 3 crops from this list that fit your space, climate, and USDA zone. Starting with just a few plants makes the process simple and manageable. Step 2. Pick up seeds or starter plants from a local store like Home Depot, Walmart, or a trusted online supplier. Most of these crops cost only a few dollars to start. Step 3. Prepare a small garden bed, a raised bed, or even a few containers. Then plant them now while early spring soil conditions are still perfect. Step 4. Come back every few days and harvest regularly. Frequent harvesting keeps plants producing more food. Do not wait until next month, because this early season planting window is the secret that makes these crops so productive. And if you want more simple strategies that help you grow more food for less money, make sure you subscribe, because next week I am showing you 5 vegetables that regrow again and again after you harvest them, almost like a perpetual food supply. Before you leave, tell me in the comments which crop you are planting first. And as always, happy growing, seedlings.